Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into Le Mystère de Marathousa 1. Décryptage d'une découverte archéologique de 430 matins. So, we're decoding a 430,000-year-old mystery. You know, when we think of the Paleolithic era, our brains just automatically go to stone, right? Flint arrowheads, heavy hand axes, cave walls. I mean, we literally call it the Stone Age. We base our whole idea of early human intelligence on rocks, basically just because rocks survive. But what if a huge, absolutely crucial piece of our story just rotted away? Well, this incredible find from Greece completely flips the script on that assumption. We're going to look closely at the evidence, the crazy science of how it survived, and fundamentally rethink the early tools that built the human race.
Okay, let's dive right in. 430,000. And try to really wrap your head around that number for a second. 430,000 years ago. To put that staggering timeline into perspective, think about a branch that falls in your backyard after a storm. After a couple of years, it's dry, it's brittle. A decade or two, it's practically dirt again. Wood is just incredibly fragile out in the elements. It's organic, so it's literally meant to break down. And yet, we're talking about wooden artifacts that have survived, not for centuries, and not just for a few millennia, but for nearly 500,000 years. It's just an incomprehensible amount of time. Having any organic material survive from the Middle Paleolithic is an absolute freak of nature.
So let's transport ourselves back to the Middle Paleolithic, specifically to the ancient lakebed of Marathousa I down in the Peloponnese region of Greece. Now, forget the dry, rocky Mediterranean vistas you might be picturing today. Back then, this was a lush, dynamic lakeside ecosystem. Picture an early human sitting in the mud right by the shore, carefully, deliberately shaping a piece of wood. An alder trunk, to be exact. They're turning it into a specialized digging stick. This wasn't just some casual whittling to pass the time. This was essential, highly skilled craftsmanship happening right there on the water's edge. They really had to intimately know their local plants, knowing exactly which wood was flexible but tough enough to dig food out of the dense earth.
But here's the harsh reality about Marathousa I. It wasn't just some peaceful crafting retreat. It was an active, vibrant, and honestly a wildly dangerous prehistoric ecosystem. How do we know? Well, researchers didn't just find ancient plants. They uncovered the remains of massive, intimidating animals, including elephants. This lakeside was a major butchering zone, a crucial hub where early humans processed meat and secured resources just to survive. And the craziest part, the competitive sharing of those resources. Because right alongside the human activity markers, there is undeniable evidence of massive prehistoric carnivores roaming those exact same shores. So our ancestors were out there scavenging elephant meat, constantly looking over their shoulders, literally competing with giant predators day in and day out.
All right, let's put on our detective hats and examine the actual physical evidence recovered by the international team. Honestly, to an untrained eye out on a hike, this looks exactly like a piece of charcoal, or maybe just some random rotting debris you'd kick out of the way. But this tiny, unassuming little fragment is the exact reason we are totally rethinking the technological capabilities of early humans. It's small, it's dark, it is heavily weathered by hundreds of thousands of years buried underground, but the secrets it reveals under a microscope are absolutely mind-blowing. It takes our picture of early humans from a rock-banging caricature to a really nuanced picture of sophisticated craftspeople.
So what exactly are those microscopic clues? I mean, how do we know this isn't just a dead branch that snapped off a prehistoric tree? Well, researchers did some intense microscopic analysis on these fragments. First, they identified the materials. These folks were highly selective. They specifically chose softwoods like alder, poplar, and willow because they're way easier to carve. But here is the real smoking gun. Under the microscope, they found distinct, deliberate cut marks. And they could clearly tell the difference between these marks and the chaotic gnawing of animals. They found intentional shaping and wear patterns that perfectly match what you'd see on a specialized digging stick. This proves intentionality. Someone 430,000 years ago picked this exact wood, used stone tools to purposefully shape it, and then used it for daily foraging.
And this builds into a discovery of immense global significance. Yes, older wooden structures do exist, like those incredible ones found in Zambia, but those are stationary. They were built to stay put. The crucial distinction here is that the items from Marathousa I are the oldest known portable wooden tools ever discovered. This is a massive leap in human evolution. We're talking mobile technology, tools you actively craft, carry around with you, and use across different environments. And these artifacts beat any previously known examples of portable wooden tools by at least 40,000 years. It fundamentally pushes the timeline way back, proving our ancestors were carrying around custom toolkits and traveling as advanced foragers way earlier than we ever gave them credit for.
But this brings us to the ultimate pivot of our mystery today. We've established how old these tools are, what they're made of, and exactly how they were used. But we really have to ask, why does wood almost never preserve? Or maybe the better question is, how on earth did this specific wood make it? Like we discussed earlier, organic material just isn't meant to last hundreds of thousands of years. It's literally designed by nature to degrade and re-enter the ecosystem. Fungi, bugs, microbes, they are super efficient at breaking organic matter down into dirt. So for a piece of wood to completely cheat that natural cycle for 500,000 years, it requires an absolute freak combination of environmental conditions. A perfect storm had to line up perfectly to freeze this artifact in time. To understand this preservation miracle, we need to contrast two totally different environments. Usually, out in the open air or in normal soil, you get aerobic decay. There's plenty of oxygen, and that oxygen fuels all those voracious little microorganisms that literally eat the wood, leading to total destruction. But contrast that with an anoxic environment. That means an environment practically devoid of oxygen. When wood falls into a deeply waterlogged area, like the muddy bottom of an ancient lakebed or a peat bog, the oxygen supply gets instantly cut off. Without that crucial oxygen, those destructive microbes suffocate. They just can't survive. So the rapid rotting process hits a massive brick wall, and the wood enters this weird state of suspended animation. Which brings us to the exact three-step chemical and environmental recipe that happened at Marathousa 1 to save these fragile fragments from total obliteration. Step 1. Permanent water saturation. The wood got trapped deep in the wet environment of the lakebed, immediately stopping that normal aerobic decay. Step 2. The creation of an anoxic environment. Thanks to a really specific adapted pH level in that ancient mud, oxygen was completely locked out, forming an impenetrable chemical barrier. And finally, step 3, mineralization. Over thousands and thousands of years, minerals naturally present in the lake water slowly, methodically seeped right into the cellular structure of the wood itself. It partially fossilized it, making it just strong enough so that when archaeologists carefully unearthed it 430,000 years later, it didn't just crumble to dust in their hands.
This complex chain of events leads researchers to a really powerful realization. As the quote notes, these special circumstances give us unique glimpses into human behaviors that are usually totally invisible in the archaeological record. I really want you to think about that concept of the invisible archive. Because stone tools survive the elements, we have this massive bias in how we view early humans. We see them primarily as stoneworkers because that's all the earth left behind for us to find. But wood is versatile. It's lighter to carry, it's easy to shape, it's everywhere. It was almost certainly used every single day for hunting and foraging. The anomaly of Marathousa 1 gives us a miraculous little window into this huge, totally invisible part of prehistoric life that almost always vanishes without a trace.
Which leaves us with this final, profound question to consider as we wrap up today. If one simple, fragmented digging stick pulled from ancient Greek mud has the power to push portable technology back by 40,000 years and completely shatter our understanding of Paleolithic ingenuity, what else have we lost to time? Seriously, how many other brilliant inventions, sophisticated daily habits, and incredibly complex behaviors of our early ancestors just rotted into the soil, leaving absolutely zero trace behind? The discovery at Marathousa 1 is a super humbling reminder that the story of humanity is far older, far more complex, and heavily reliant on fragile materials that we are incredibly lucky to ever see again. Thank you for joining me on this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the hidden history beneath your feet.